Objective. My name is Sean Walchef. This is Rising Tides Live. We are live streaming on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube. Welcome to the community. If you are new, we want to hear your voice. We want to see you on stage. We've been doing this show now for 4 years. We started on a social audio app called Clubhouse. We meet every week, every Wednesday, every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. London time, wherever you are in the world. We believe in hospitality. We believe in digital technology that is moving us forward, and we believe in storytelling. We're really excited about today's conversation because data, however you pronounce it, is extremely important in all businesses. So we want to learn, how are you using it in your business? If you own restaurants, if you own your own business, how do you use it? How do you quantify it? How do you measure it? And when do you just go with your instincts? All of the entrepreneurs on this show, I think we all have as much data as we have. Unless you actually take the action, sometimes nothing will happen. So can't wait to have the conversation today. Mike, go ahead, start bringing the guests up. If you're watching this, thank you for subscribing. You can subscribe to Digital Hospitality, catch all of these episodes, but it's always better when we meet you in real life. So welcome to the community. Let's go ahead and start with our new guest. Philip, can you unmute? Take 60 seconds. Who are you and what are you building? Thank you for coming on the call. I'm putting you right on the spot. Just
Yeah,
just like Mike requested.
not a big deal. Yeah. Hey, listen, if you've been in this business long enough, you know that that's the way we roll, right? You just
Yes.
got to be ready, the elevator pitch. But thanks for having me. I appreciate it. As you mentioned, Sean, Mike invited me into this forum, and I'm really excited to meet all the other fine people on this forum. My name's Philip Populus. I've been in the food service industry all my life, like many of you. Parents owned restaurants. I grew up in the back of the house, downtown Los Angeles and stuff, and then stayed in the restaurant business, working for Cisco for 15 years, 5 of which was at the corporate office managing uh, the frozen French fry program, U.S. Foods. The last 5 years at the La Mirada division, I managed a team of healthcare professionals, account executives, managing the GPOs, the group purchasing organizations, Food Buy, Vizient, Premier, etc. And I've worked for one of our local brokerages, one of the best in the country, I think, Affinity Group. And I've worked for several different manufacturers, Michael Foods out of Minnesota. I started the first Napa on pasteurized eggs for the military, which took me through about 15 Army installations across the country. It was my biggest sale to date, obviously.
Wow.
And I've worked for Vienna Beef. Everybody loves a good Vienna Beef hot dog. And I think that's when I met Michael's, when I was with Vienna Beef. And my last manufacturing position, I was with Silver Fern Farms out of New Zealand. It's an it's a antibiotic free, all grass fed beef, lamb, and venison supplier.
Great.
And was laid off due to the economy last year, October, and just recently landed a position with RW Zant in Los Angeles. They've been around as a redistributor. Many of you probably know of them for the last 75 years. And so, very excited to be with them. We have a cut shop in our commodity, in our dub production facilities right here in downtown Los Angeles. We do fresh cut poultry, beef, and pork. So, starting my new
Amazing.
career here, and I feel that this will be probably the highlight of my career, and just hoping to add a lot to this wonderful food service industry. As my dad gave it to me, I'd like to leave something as a legacy for everybody else behind me.
It's amazing. Philip, I'm so happy that you're here, part of this community. Welcome. Everybody, please give Philip a follow on LinkedIn. Philip, you have an active LinkedIn profile? Yes?
I think I do. Yeah, you'll
Okay.
have to check.
Well, that's your homework. Your homework assignment is to update your LinkedIn profile so that you can connect with all these incredible people in the community. But yeah, I think for me, meeting hearing your story, it reminds me of how many different places the hospitality industry touches and how many things have to happen for us to enjoy a meal in the village. For us to go and enjoy a rack of ribs at our restaurants here in San Diego, so many people have to make that happen. And it's a difficult process, but it's also a beautiful process when it's executed. Philip, what can you, for today's topic, data versus instincts, how are you using data today in your new role, and how are you using your instincts?
So that's a great question. I'm still I'm 4 weeks in, finishing today is my fourth
Fantastic.
weekend. So
Drinking from the
still
fire hose.
exactly. I just learned where the bathrooms are, so that's a good thing. And I'm now rescheduling my day so that I can work from home office like like normal people instead of having to come into downtown LA all the time. But anyway, um, to answer the question real specifically, I'm just learning their reporting system now, so I'm still in the beginning phases of that, Sean. Um, but where I came from the affinity group, they were using a lot of data mining, and this really is where I'd like to go. Is that I think it was Data Essentials or something like that, where we were looking at uh, specific restaurants, national accounts that we managed, and we were helping to data mine what products they were not using that maybe we represented,
Mhm.
right? And so then we would compare, let's just say it's a soup. Somebody wasn't using soup. And then we would compare it to other restaurants that did have soup and see what their profit margins were, see what their covers were, those sort of things. And then we would go to them real specific saying, hey, I noticed that you're not using this soup item. It creates X amount of percent gross margin. Think about the customers you're not capturing, and these are your competitors nearby that are using that item. So really, I think that's the way I want to get in this business is really more of a consultative sell in my current position as business development manager. That's what I am paid to do is develop more business opportunities, but it'll come on the supplier side, on my side of it, it'll come.
Yep.
My motivation, Sean, is that if I can create something on someone's menu that will help them be more profitable, put more butts in the seats, then that is a great day for me. All right. And if that continues to bring joy to patrons and stuff and get them coming back for more, then then you know what? That's an amazing thing. And that's how we want to, leave the legacy in this business, one
That's
customer at a
awesome.
time.
Philip, that's awesome. We yesterday reminds me, the soup story reminds me, yesterday we filmed with Pepsi. So Pepsi has a new menu optimization for all of their Pepsi partners. We're really excited that they came out. They gave an audit of our online menu. So our menus on Uber Eats, on DoorDash, on Grubhub, our Toast online ordering menu. Um, we're going to be publishing that video on our Restaurant Technology Substack newsletter. So just a reminder to anybody that hasn't subscribed, please subscribe. That's one of our new pieces of content. But it's amazing to think that even a restaurant that has a media company, we still need data from our partners. Our partners have access to so many different restaurant groups, restaurant sizes, best practices. And when you go in and you look at the feedback that Pepsi gave us, it's like an aha moment for, me and Eric, my CFO and business partner, of like, well, why aren't we doing that? Like, well, why aren't we using these tools that are regularly available if it's going to increase our NA beverage sale by 40%? Like, that's a significant increase and people want to buy it. We're just not even giving them that option. So, from an instinct standpoint, yes, we know we should do it, but from a data standpoint, it's like, oh wow, like here's the information. Now we actually have to execute. Great stuff, Philip. Welcome to the community. Michael Ungaro, Mike is yours. 60 seconds. Who are you? What are you working on Friday? And tell us a data versus instinct story.
Yeah, sure. So Michael Ungaro, CEO, visionary co-owner, San Pedro Fish Market, a family of businesses, as well as Kings of Fish, our TV show, and our soon to drop, newly produced podcast, Fish Factor, thanks to Sean and his team. See that, I think, another week or so, week and a half.
Can't wait. Mike, shout out to you and Biseglia and JT from our team. You guys, I can't wait for that to hit the internet. It's rad. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's really super exciting. And it'll be all the stuff we talked about. What's it like to run the business and with the family and the series that we're producing and all the trials, tribulations, successes, and failures on the way of our almost 70-year history since my grandfather started the business. I was thinking about this when I saw the topic. One of the ways I learned instinct is it's sort of the culmination of all the knowledge that you have and how you observe the world differently, and you take for granted that you have all this background in your experiences that allows you to see or frame things different than someone without that experience. I think the danger of it is if you're not aware of how that works, we tend to make ungrounded decisions, not realizing, well, gut feeling isn't necessarily a bad thing, but how did you come to that gut feeling? So I think the more that you have data and the more that you're analyzing it, the more it affects and influences how your instincts are able to help you make decisions. Like an example that I thought of, sorry, I'm in Rancho Mirage, I'm visiting a friend for his birthday, and I'm borrowing his patio and hoping the cigar smoke doesn't go in the house.
I hope you get busted.
Anyways,
live on that would we would clip that. Let's get Mike getting busted.
So a couple of things I was thinking about, we had this idea, we sell a lot of beer. Okay, what does that mean? What do you do with it? And then you would have the beer sellers come in sometimes with all their data and go, did you know that you sell more Modelo than Angel Stadium? I'm like, I had no way to quantify that. So it kind of changes. And then you can take that and build it into your narratives for different reasons. But you also need to be careful because in some cases it's like, that could be a threat depending on the community that's listening to you versus an opportunity because it's alcohol, right? So you want to be careful about how you utilize that. So you don't want to go straight to your instincts and say, well, we can start doing this and we can start doing that. We can start promoting it. We can call ourselves the biggest beer. No, not necessarily something you want to make public. So your instincts can come into play there. Another example I was thinking of is social media has given you so much data that we didn't have before. But I've never really been satisfied that we get what we really need and want. Like when we first started doing Kings of Fish and it was all Facebook related, we couldn't figure out how to go to sponsors with the data and create that narrative because as we dug in deeper in the beginning, we could see sales jump. That was good. We could see we had viewers, but instinctually, I'm thinking we have a hit. This is really popular. Let's go all these places with it. But then you dig into the data and it's like, well, out of a 5-minute episode, most people are of these views that Facebook's counting as views. A lot of times they're dropping off after 20 seconds. So is that a real view? And does that matter? And does anyone care? And so like instinctually, we would think we had this hit, but the data like kind of grounded us to think, well, maybe we don't, and we want to be careful what we do. So I kind of find it as a place where you could start with your instincts, but you need to go to the data to ground it to make sure you're not in a fantasy about it. And I find that to be a more powerful move that you can make better, more grounded decisions on. The other example that came to mind was we opened these smaller concepts, and I wasn't super thrilled to do it because I tried one on my own, 20 some years ago, and it was a disaster failure, almost drove me to bankruptcy. So I'm like, man, I think we should just focus on where our strengths are. But then we had some friends we brought on, and they had experience running restaurants in a way we didn't. And we thought we have this small place in Wilmington that kind of would make a great concept. It's what I had tried to do 20 years ago, but I didn't have the help in the team because I left to do it on my own. Because instinctually, I thought it was a good idea. and my instinct was telling me, I don't know that we should do this again. And what I was noticing was as family members were making decisions, they had created their own sort of personal narrative around, well, this will be successful for this reason. But we didn't, in retrospect, we had to close both of them down. The pandemic killed us. We couldn't have anticipated that, obviously. But when we had a chance to really calm down, sit back, look at what we were doing, and really analyze the data that we had about our brand, what was successful, what wasn't, it was clear these smaller locations are not where we should be focusing. Matter of fact, like one of our niche that we push on is that it's our world famous shrimp tray. And I realized yesterday, we specifically narrowed that down because the smaller locations couldn't have a full service fish market. And the reality is our brand is about the experience of coming in and picking your own fish and designing your tray. So it was like the data shows that, the customer interaction show that, being able to look at Yelp, being able to look at different places. And the other place that it's important from a perspective of protecting yourself is there's a local sort of nightclub, comedy club that just went out of business out of nowhere. And I was talking to my friends about it because it's next door to his house. One of the friends lives here, and he goes, because there was a political narrative that they were bringing in people, and the locals didn't agree with that particular stand, and they took to Nextdoor, they took to Yelp, they took to Facebook, and they basically called the owners and everyone visiting Nazis just because they didn't agree with the political. And it happened so fast that it was like closed out of nowhere. So sometimes like your instinct on what you want to do needs to also be grounded in the data, and you need to have a strategy to really observe and watch out and protect yourself sometimes. And
Great.
from a competitive standpoint.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Great stories. Thank you, Michael. We appreciate it. Elizabeth Doss.
Welcome.
What's up? Elizabeth, are you able to unmute? Maybe. Possibly. No, Elizabeth.
There we go.
Words. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Oh,
Wi-Fi not good with
why don't
Elizabeth?
you come back to me?
I'll come back
pass
to you.
it.
No worries. No worries. Let's go to Ward.
I don't know.
Ward.
Yeah.
We'll come back. Ward, mic is yours. 60 seconds. Who are you? What are you working on a Friday? And what are your thoughts about data versus instincts? Tell us a story.
Yeah, Ward Olgreen, the COO of Red Onion. We're the leader in guest behavior analytics, which is funny because you talk about data and some of the stories you're telling. It's exactly what we do. Our customers are companies like Twin Peaks, Fogo de Chao, Texas Dairy Queen, Darden, 20 countries outside the U.S., yada, yada, yada. Yeah, the data versus instincts had kind of a funny story. We had a brand that had mentioned they were approaching 1,500 complaints that their salsa was too spicy. And we had told them that our data is not showing that, but their instinct was to respond. And so they invited a lot of the customers who were complaining in, made some adjustments, toned it down a little bit, showed it to them. They loved it like crazy. And within 4 weeks, they changed it. And within 4 weeks, they had 300,000 complaints that they screwed up the salsa. So it's natural to want to oil the squeaky wheel, right? But you can find yourselves making a huge mistake if you don't use the data to reaffirm what you're thinking. Now, on the flip side, back in the 90s when I was at Pizza Inn, my CEO on a Monday came to me and said, "Hey, we need a new product rollout." I said, "Really? When do you need it?" "I need it by Wednesday." And so we already had one of our crusts that I created called a signature sourdough pizza. And so I ended up creating something where this is the time when Pizza Hut had the stuffed crust pizza that they rolled out. So we ended up stuffing the entire pizza. So we had crust followed by layers of pepperoni and mozzarella and cheddar, then followed by another crust on top. So basically it was an entire pepperoni stuffed pizza served with 9 ounces of marinara sauce. So you basically took your wedge, dipped it in. So within 36 hours or whatever, we created a whole new product, rolled it out. We had brands and locations with franchisees having 50% sales increase with 35% of their sales with this one item made one way. So the problem with that and being successful on an idea, shooting from the hip, is then you think, oh, I can do this all the time. I'll just whip it up, throw it out, and people will love it. And it ends up being a once in a lifetime success. But at the end of the day, especially now with margins so tight, you cannot afford to make a mistake by not using the data and just shooting from the gut. So I would always say go data first. Then if you want to use your gut, fine, but start with a layer of data and then go from there.
Yeah, and I think we haven't mentioned AI, but there is incredible tools that are available to us to get a base understanding of literally whatever we are trying to search out, trying to figure out, give us a base and understanding of whatever the subject is. Thank you, Ward. Appreciate it. Adam, are you able to unmute? My friend from over the pond. Is it data or data?
Data. It's always data. It's never
Data,
data.
not
But it depends
data.
who I'm speaking to. I'm speaking to anyone in America. It's
Potato,
data.
potato,
Data.
tomato.
It's data. Data.
It's data. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yeah. Not data. Data. It has a T.
Data.
Data. Yeah.
Data.
Yeah. It's all about the data. I'm a data king, so it's all about the data. isn't it? But okay. I'll do a quick little thing. Hi, I'm Adam, Captive Wi-Fi. We're plugging into Incentivio, which is really exciting. So there you go. That's a nice little name drop, Sean.
Sweet.
And
Yeah, we love
I
Incentivio.
haven't been on. Yeah, they're good boys. Actually, had a nice chat with them. Yeah, so I haven't been on for a while, so apologies. It's been a bit of a crazy time. We've had Easter break here and kids and family, so I'm back and running and now back in the fold. So glad to be back. Sorry to miss it all. I've been catching up on the streams, but I'm not an operator, as you are aware. So this is an interesting conversation. But when we do speak to operators and have a chat with them about it, it's always a fusion of this conversation, right? You know, is it like gut or is it data? So sometimes you have to override everything, right? You know, because you know that something is going to work.
We lost audio, Adam. Can you guys hear him? Nope. Oh, we lost Adam. I don't know what I got to do with the London Wi-Fi connection for Adam, but I'm gonna figure it out. I know a Wi-Fi guy, and I'm gonna ask him to figure it out.
And by the way, they pronounce that audio, not audio, just in case.
Audio.
Can you hear me?
We can now. Go for
You're
it.
back.
Riverside.
Yeah, we're working on migrating. We'll see if the problem persists on another platform, but more information to come as we migrate. Go ahead, Adam. Nope.
No.
Not cooperating today.
Yeah.
Adam, whenever you can come back. Elizabeth, do you want to give it another go?
Sure. Can you hear me?
We can. Much
Good.
better.
I stole my husband's computer because mine is slowed way down with all the animations and all the things I've been doing on that computer. It's not been hooking up. My name is Elizabeth Doss, and I am a social media consultant. I'm also an animated GIF maker. I'm a verified artist with Giphy, and my GIFs have been viewed almost 6 billion times. And I've just reached over the 4 billion mark for all of my clients. I've helped over 40 brands and businesses get their GIFs searchable within search engines. Any GIF, time you type in a GIF search engine, it's probably Giphy, and so it fuels the back end of Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, all of the things. Just not LinkedIn yet. We're working on them on that. But anyway, so talking the data and instincts side of things. I was thinking about this that because Michael mentioned this about social media giving you so much information, but it's important to know which platforms value which metrics. And they change that often. So getting set up for that. So like Instagram right now is valuing shares and saves more than it is views or even likes or even comments. And so are you, especially when you're creating content for your businesses, are you thinking through what kind of content would have a different type of reaction? And so thinking through not only that, but how to ask for it. Because sometimes your audience doesn't know what you want them to do. So you have to do those calls to action where you're asking specifically for them to comment on something, to save it or to send it. And I was just thinking through, when you start to look through some of your social media content, you start to see patterns show up specifically with your community, because your community may not be like someone else's community. But when you post things that are funny or are on trend, I've seen Cali Barbecue posting and recreating these videos where they're taking the idea, the trend that's going on, and running it through the filter of Cali Barbecue. And Steve is doing an amazing job with that. Barbecue Steve, way to go. So if you're curious about that, make sure you're following the Cali Barbecue restaurant feeds, because on TikTok and on Instagram, they're seeing a lot of value out of the jumping on a trend. And so, we talked about the data side of things show that trends are important, but if you're always tracing trends and you're never creating anything unique, then you're missing a chance to speak directly to your audience. But humor and trends usually get you views and shares because people watch it over and over again, and then they send it to their friends. But when you create educational content, this is where you can get into the saves and the shares. And this is a really important place, and to even invite people to save that information. So you may ask, like, well, how could a restaurant create content that people want to save? Well, one way is how to reheat your particular, like, they bring leftovers home, like how you guys prepare certain things, and how to, anyway, just thinking through that line of what people were doing. My last thing I want to talk about was the localization part. If you are a local business, if you are a brick and mortar business, you need to be checking your local demographics, because in the back end of your social media, it'll show you where people are coming from. And I've worked with clients before that have hyper localized places, but somehow either a previous social media manager bought followers, which don't ever buy followers, just don't do it. There's better ways. And if you need better ways, come talk to me, but never buy followers, because unfortunately, all of their followers were overseas. And so they were not reaching their community. And so, so you really should go in and double check some of those things to make sure that you're showing up where you actually want to show up. The other thing I wanted to say too is, if you are on social media and you're not seeing any analytics, like especially on Instagram, it could be because you're still set as a personal Instagram account. Make sure you're a business one. And I understand if you don't want to like list what your business is. There is a creator version of a business account, so you still have access to all the music, etc., all that type of stuff. But if you're wanting to see analytics, make sure you upgrade to a business account. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I'll hand it back to you, Sean.
Elizabeth, why would a business not want to list their business on social?
Why would they not want to?
Yes.
If they were doing criminal activity?
I only ask because it's the antithesis of everything that we believe, that no one's going to find you if you're not on the internet, and if you have the ability to use the free tools that Meta and Google and Yelp and all the different platforms allow you to find. I mean, we want to be discovered. That's the whole idea about business, is like, you got to be discovered first before anyone's going to buy anything. So
yeah, you know what, you had mentioned AI earlier too, and I hate to step over that. I have I'm still in the early adopt stage where we're just kind of experimenting with it, and then I have some friends that they're pushing it a lot more. But there's so much data. The synthesis of the data is so fast, it's mind-boggling. I mean, it's like, on one example, I have a trainer we work with. My daughter is getting her Pilates certification, and the trainer is a certified Pilates, same school. And I asked her, do you use AI for anything? She says, why would I? And I go, as I'm working out with her in the morning, I have a client, 65 years old, working on range of motion. I just spit a bunch of stuff into it. Boom, an entire workout plan spit out in seconds for her, like with all the data points that she had asked for. And I've done this with our attorneys for like lawsuits we're dealing with, for business analysis, for financial stuff, seconds. And the data is there. But, as human beings, you can only, really look at it and assess it as to a certain capacity. And it's wiping that away so fast. The trainer's like, so basically I just lost my job. I go, someone still needs to work with your client with this. But I saved you all the time so you can get another client now, rather than being home designing it. But yeah. It's crazy stuff.
So much of the world that we live in has to do with speed and your ability to get actually data that you can trust, and then what do you do with it, with your instincts, right? Tom Spry, welcome to the show. 60 seconds. Who are you? What are you working on a Friday? And tell us a story about.
Well, before I go into what you've asked me to say about, I need to come back to Elizabeth. Had a post that came across the other day from Instagram. It says, be the post they remember, not the trend they forget. So I feel that in what I do for a living, yes, data is critical. But I guess I can say I have enough gray hair that intuition comes to play. And I think a lot of people disregard their intuition in the search of data, or more in the case, as Michael says, about the synthesis of that data. And we will second guess what we believe in. And I'll go back to Malcolm Gladwell's Blink as probably the best validator for anybody with experience and acknowledging that there's an internal reaction or recognition, pattern understanding that you may not have direct relevance in front of you, but your brain is kicking in saying, okay, it's an emotional response. But don't disregard that. That is what's made me so effective at what I do. What I'm working on right now.
Yeah, what are you working on?
What do I do? I'm an executive recruiter. And part of my position is to advise my clients. And right now, the greatest struggle that I see that the operators are having is that there was a period of time where all our major restaurant chains were company store operations, and they began selling off their units to franchising, caused them to reduce a key component of leadership development. They still held at L&D, but it was less of a mentoring and getting to that third level of leadership, whether it be a director or VP title. Okay. So we're finding now that that's I get a ton of calls saying, do you know, how do we get our executives to interview for this? How do we find the right talent? And it's more than just from an executive search standpoint. It's more about coaching your team to understand it's more than just behavioral questioning.
That's great. Well, Tom, we appreciate it. Thank you. Just a reminder to everybody, we have a Slack channel. We have a LinkedIn group chat. We have an Instagram group chat. If you want to join those, just send an email to podcast@calibbq.media. We will add you to those. We appreciate it. Naki, Mike is yours. Welcome back. 60 seconds. Who are you? What are you working on a Friday? And tell us a story about data versus instincts.
Hi everyone, happy Friday. My name is Naki Soyturk. I'm the owner of Across Restaurant Consulting. We act as the back office for independent restaurants. We offer bookkeeping, fractional CFO, operational and profitability improvement services, and HR. And as it pertains to your question, Sean, I'm gonna introduce another level between the gut feeling and where am I? Okay. Gut feeling. Okay. Where is it? Okay. Gut feeling. Yes. Data. There is a point that what are you doing with that data? Let me give you an example. I was talking to a restaurateur, I think a week ago. She was saying, they have 10 restaurants. She was saying they only have 2% variance in their food cost. And I don't really, I try to not react, right? Like 2%, so I was telling her, like, after maybe like 5 minutes, and her questions were, about, how to read the financials and stuff were really on point. Then I asked her, like, do you realize what like 2% really means? Like, if you think about average restaurant profitability is 5%, there's a variance between 5 and 7%. It's not a 2% variance. It's a 30% variance in your bottom line. And then, eyes glow, eyes get bigger and all that. So there is a midpoint between, like, knowing to read the data. The other side of the coin is using the data in a way that you're not supposed, like politicians do that all the time, right? There are basically 10 different economic indicators, and inflation might be decreasing, but the reason could be like a huge jump in unemployment. If you are saying, like, oh yeah, inflation is down, but then the whole economy is basically screwed up, then that's another way to read the data. I think that's why, like, one metric alone, even like food cost alone, doesn't really mean nothing, if you don't look at it from a big picture standpoint. But data is important to. I was having this conversation with a restaurateur. Like, the guy didn't believe in guest loyalty, like the importance of guest loyalty. So for him, it's about bringing new people. I was telling him consistency, systems, processes. Customer acquisition is very expensive. Why aren't you concentrated on like guest loyalty programs? You already use Toast. Why don't you do all these like loyalty things in place? And he said, like, I don't believe in, like, bringing people, like working to bring people back, which was like a stab in my stomach. But I basically did like what Red Onion does, and basically get downloaded their entire. And it was at that point that I think I had a conversation with Red Onion's CEO. So downloaded their entire data as it pertains to loyalty and the reservation system, which is a great thing in Toast. And then Red Onion does that automatically. They pull the data from Toast. Like they don't spend 3 days like I do. So we fix the data, match the data, and I show them that like loyalty, how like a loyal guest is basically 5 times, it spends like 5 times the money. I showed him like how much it costs us to acquire the client, acquire any new guest versus, you know, loyalty and all that. And when we basically wrap the guest around the off-premise, on-premise, and take out, then that guest is like, you know, 20 to 50 times more important. So I don't know, like my job is data, right? Like managing and producing, number one, producing financial analysis, creating all the structures, the systems, and accounting to produce that data and then interpret it. But whether this is understanding or using that data, I think is vastly missing in restaurants.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge I see right now in the restaurant technology landscape with operators is trusting the data and knowing which reports are actually the most important reports, which are the key metrics that are going to move the business forward week over week, and what should we be paying attention to. And you know, the more complicated tech stacks get, the harder those things get, because you have different places that you have to pull from. And then a lot of operators and managers go off of instincts. They have a feeling of what the sales are going to be like, even though we have sophisticated forecasting tools that are going to tell us, you know, maybe not to the dollar, but very close of what our projected guest counts are, depending on how long you've been in business. Dean LeBay, mic's yours, my friend. Who are you? What are you working on?
My name's Dean LeBay. I'm calling in from New Orleans, the hospitality capital of the world. I want to go back to Philip and welcome him to our group. And I like what you were talking about. I'm a boots on the street kind of guy too. I go to restaurants and I talk to them. And the biggest advantage we have over anybody else that's calling on them is we can tell them exactly what their competitors are doing, what's working and what's not working. And you can do all the data in the world, but you know, that's it. That's what it's all about. As far as the data goes, I think the most important data, kind of similar to what the gentleman was just talking about, it's not the cost of getting a customer in the place. It's the cost of, once he comes, getting him to come back, and bring a friend. Now, I read this 30 years ago, and it was the rule of 3, that if you could get a customer to come back 3 different times, you had them for life. Now, I don't know if that's still true or not, but that's the way it was back in the late 70s, early 80s, that if you could sell a customer 3 times, you got them. So in my particular instance, what I do is I'm an equipment guy. I build out restaurants, back of the house, that kind of stuff. And, you know, what does that have to do with what we're talking about today? Well, you know, if your fryer breaks down, you're kind of in trouble. And you were talking about beverages with Pepsi earlier. You know, beverages is the #1 profit maker in every restaurant. Fried foods is #2. And if those 2 products, if you can't, give an example, Sonic Restaurants has made a killing off their ice machines because they use a Nugget ice machine. Now, I know it didn't sound like a big deal, but people come back just for the ice, just so they can get a beverage. So anyway, I'm here for the conversation. And of course, man, you know, Ward is just, man, the guy's, he's just a walking in Wikipedia. He just got all that. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, wait a minute. Let's do this for you, Ward. See if I can make it happen like I did last week.
I'm just
There
worried
you go, Ward.
I'm just worried my head's not going to fit in the door. You know, if you keep up there. I appreciate your comments always.
Listen, I can't wait to see you in Chicago, man. I just
we're gonna
can't.
have a
I
great
can't
time.
wait. But yeah, hey Philip, again, thanks for being here, and you're exactly right. It's the people that are calling on them. They call it B2B. I call it belly to belly, and the belly to belly sales. That's where it's at. Thanks, guys.
Dean, Laser Dean, that was awesome. Thank you, Dean. We appreciate you. We're grateful for you. You always put a smile into this community. Adam, Captive Wi-Fi. Are we going to give it a go again? Oh, yes, we can hear you. Yes.
I cannot hear or see him, but that's just
No,
he's
you
not
guys
in
can't
the-
hear him.
I
You
think
can hear
he's
him now.
backstage, maybe he's not.
Are
on
you
the-
backstage? You're in the wrong room.
I can hear him.
No,
Oh,
no, I'm here.
okay, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, Riverside my phone. Yeah. Conversation point. That's
No, we couldn't.
Not working, Adam.
interesting conversation point on that side. Oh, you're kidding me.
It's not working.
Seriously, this is all right. Now?
No. In and out. Riverside doesn't like you, Adam. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
We
I was
love
in.
you.
I-
We love you.
I did like a webinar. It just ended before this started.
Yep.
Riverside screwed me over.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
LinkedIn Live didn't work.
Yeah, it's we're gonna be switching this community to StreamYard, so make sure you guys pay attention to the group chats.
I had a similar example to what Ward was saying around changing recipes. We have our signature seasoning that was designed by a chef we had for a long time. No one was paying attention that even though we paid for all of it and asked him to design it, that he had put everything in his name. So when he was no longer with us, no one had this recipe. And the company that was making it for us says, well, it's all in his name. You got to get it. Okay. It turned into a lawsuit. In the meantime, we went and had it matched and made our own. But what was happening is because of that uncertainty, you know, the gut feeling was, well, one customer said it's too spicy. Well, one said it's not spicy enough. Maybe we have to change how much we use. And then I find out as I'm going to talk to other producers that, well, your uncle came in and changed the recipe. So you actually have a spicier one in the jars and a different one that's going here and another one that's going out on the internet. We had 3 different recipes. I didn't even know because no one was looking at the data. They were just going with what they thought was good because out of the 10,000 customers that came in over a weekend, 3 people complained it was too spicy.
The funny, I mean, Ward's example is like, it couldn't be more classic restaurant owner. The squeaky wheel tends to always come up in the meeting, and we think that we have a bigger problem than we do. And that's not to say that, you know, sometimes the person that wants meatloaf, you know, speaks on behalf of all of the thousands of customers that everyone wants meatloaf, but you know, you got to get the data. Like, just because they're the loudest doesn't mean that they speak for the majority of your customers.
And the other problem where that gut instinct versus data can be undermining is we brought in samples for us as owners to test, and I go, hold on, how many of us are customers? We don't come to our restaurant to eat, we come to work. So why are we choosing? We need to ask the customers that are driving 100 miles and spending hours in line if this is what they want or not. That's the data we need to be, and then pick from that. And it was missing for people because of the ownership, the blurred line between, you know, ownership and operator sometimes creates a problem too.
Good stuff, Mike. Are we going to give it one last chance, Adam? This is it.
Can you hear me?
We can.
You can hear me. Oh, okay. Hi everyone. I'm Adam. I'm from London, as you can tell from the accent and saying the word data. I'm the founder of Captive Wi-Fi. We're on a mission to help America actually send emails to their customers because no one does, rather than SMS. And we collect first-party data through the Wi-Fi, and actually. Doing some really cool work with Dan from F3 now, so that's going to be even more fun. So he's going to start doing stuff for us, and some more partners in the US. So we're very excited about some more customers. 50 clients so far. That's not very much, but we're expanding. Currently work with some awesome brands globally. We're in 22 different countries now. We're just about to sign an official agreement with Seven Rooms, which means that they're going to get us access to all of their sales guys globally, which is cool. And we're building a waitlist app called Table Ready, because Yelp waitlist is dog shit. Sorry for swearing, but it is terrible. So we're on a mission to make the waitlist app, and we're giving it free for ages once it's ready. So it's nearly ready, and we're really excited to launch that. And that's a bit easier on the market entry in the US for waitlist rather than Wi-Fi, because you guys have good cell coverage. I was saying earlier before Riverside broke, a friend of mine works in retail. He actually runs Primark. I don't know if you've seen that brand, but there's about 50, 60 stores in the US now. Huge discount, like low TK Maxx style clothing. He runs one of the biggest stores in central London. It's like 7 floors, humongous. And he starts at 5 a.m. and speaks to the night team, checks out what's going on. And his assistant manager has been doing the stock for ages, right? The restocking and everything else. And he comes in, he goes, I'm going to leave you with it. I'm going to trust you with it. He comes in 3-4 days later and he says, where's all the stuff? Where's it all gone? Like, I don't understand. Like, you were in charge with the stock. So he's been doing it for 4 years, right? So he knows what needs to be restocked. He speaks to the night team that needs to be, he knows what lorries he needs to speak to. And the intuition piece of him, of doing what he does to bring in the stuff for retail, he knows exactly which lines need to be done. And he'll keep an eye on new lines coming in to bring it through. So for him, and their system is super old school. So, you know, you think retail's got super high tech. These guys, I think they've got they're in 20 different countries, and loads of stores, huge, but it's still very much like, we'll only reorder the basics. So you still have to do the manual intuition of that sort of stuff. So it's really interesting to listen to him. Like they did a joint venture with Krispy Kreme recently, and he saw it, and each store was allowed a small amount. And he just went in and grabbed as much as he could from every other store to ship it, because he knew he would sell it. Because he knows that when that fad comes in, he goes, people were fighting for each other on the floor. So it's really interesting when you look at when you look at like fads or things that are happening. In hospitality, I'm on a marketing WhatsApp group over here, and the nice thing about over here, everywhere really, and since COVID is, and it's one of your mantras really, is everyone's helping each other, which is really nice. So there's lots of questions from marketeers to the operations team saying, hey, you know, we're thinking about doing this. What do you think? So that helps with the resource, right? You know, you're not sure if you want to add another product in or make a change, and so on. So I think there's a lot more help out there now than there was for operators specifically than before. I think before COVID, everyone was very tight-chested and wouldn't help. And I think now, when you're thinking of doing something or changing an item or refreshing, you've got a nice resource for people. So I think that's a really nice piece that's out there. And before it broke again, back to what Dean said, we did a call a little while ago with some other people, and it was a question whether it was frequency versus loyalty and what's more important, which is also a really interesting point. And back to what Dean said, the three, if you can get someone 3 times in, they're yours for life. But that's me.
Beautiful. Adam, let's go ahead and do a tip takeaway homework assignment. Go ahead, kick us off. Adam, it's you.
Okay, sorry, back to me. For me, I need to trust my gut a little bit more. That's a good one for this one, and do a little bit more content. I have a DJI Osmo, so I'm hoping to do more content. So my homework for me personally is to try and get more out there.
Adam, we are so proud of you. This community, since you've been showing up, it's so cool to see all the stuff that you do in the United Kingdom, all over the city. It makes us feel a part of it, and thank you. Keep up the great work. Elizabeth, tip takeaway homework assignment.
Yeah, sure. So your homework is to go and look at the social media analytics and look through the different types of content and what kind of reactions you're getting from those, and then double down on the ones that are working and are getting you engagement, like saves and shares. So back to you, Sean.
Awesome. Great stuff. Thank you, Elizabeth. Naki.
So I started, podcasting and webinaring, if that's the word, and still having technical issues, which freaking sucks. 65 people were supposed to attend to today's event, and like you will see me like sweating in a 5 seconds in a 5 seconds clip until I just like these kinds of disappointments just make my life shorter. So no disappointments. resilience,
The
more
good news
content, video content.
the good news is, Naki, everyone's watching and no one's watching at the same time.
That's right.
We feel like everyone's gonna see the mistakes, or if
I'm
we
doing
can't
this
get the like
in the
everyone's
background with
worried
the
about.
mouse.
Yeah, I mean, we have an amazing team, but I mean, sometimes technology doesn't work and we can't get the shows or we don't produce it, but we just keep going, and that's the answer. It's just why do we fall? So we can learn how to get right back up and keep
Right.
doing it again. Awesome stuff. Ward, tip, takeaway, homework assignment.
Yeah, the tip is in relation to data. What we're seeing and we're pushing more and more is traffic is king, but it's accurate traffic, right? It's not what a server puts in as number of guests. It is we can actually use our technology to determine the number of guests on a ticket by way of what's ordered. Because sales can be, with price increases and all that kind of stuff, sales is pretty useless these days, and talking averages is useless. So yeah, for the tip is focus on your traffic. The to-do for me is actually I'm working on a 10-year anniversary post for LinkedIn for Twin Peaks. They have used us continuously as a technology for the last 10 years throughout the good and bad. Even when they had their issue down in Waco, they continued during COVID. They continued because they just truly believe that all your best answers are in the data, and it is what you do with it after that is what we can't control. All we can do is give them the right answers. So there we go.
Yeah.
And it's all about
I love that.
NRA.
You touched on something that I could never understand in the beginning days of running the restaurant, is why a server with a 4-top is putting in one guest.
Yeah.
Why are we doing that?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because if you're running a contest on who has the highest per person average, they just had 4 people buying as one. So that server wins. Yes. It's the basic thievery.
Yes. Dean LeBay, tip, takeaway, homework assignment.
Just keep showing up, and the customers that come to your restaurant or customers that come to your business, they're spending time with you. Be appreciative of it, and don't waste their time. And just keep showing up and bring a friend. Thanks.
Appreciate it, Dean. Mike Ungaro, tip, takeaway, homework assignment. Thank you for inviting Philip, by the way.
Yeah,
Philip.
thanks for being here, Philip. You got railroaded a little bit. Didn't know.
Well, he gets to open the show and close the show, so no pressure.
You better work on your genius or comment. I think don't overstep AI as a data source to check your gut instincts, because something popped up on the side of my screen about a good friend of ours. Her name's Sophia Wackerman. She goes by Sophia James, and she's been releasing music. And she posted in her TikTok, "I need an unhinged strategy for promoting my new music." And I'm thinking, this is my daughter's best friend. And I realized they're all terrified of this technology, like it's going to destroy their lives. So I just asked it to produce in a few seconds a strategy for her, but basically what she was asking her TikTok followers to do. She's got hundreds of thousands of them. And I just sent it to her. I go, here you go. It just took a second. But I think we overlook like what this is potentially for us. And we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to waste a lot of time losing sleepless nights. Here's the schematic. Let's build off of it. I think I even asked it how to build a media company, Sean.
Oh, yeah. It'll tell you.
It said, call Sean Walchef. Who knew? That was it. One sentence.
Amazing. Thank you, Michael. Quick programming note. Next Wednesday,
I've got
Go ahead.
I've got one thing. Sorry, just one thing that you guys need to check out. There's a new AI tool, because you're talking about AI. I'll put it in the chat.
Put it in the chat.
Put it in the chat. Perfect.
We'll be on StreamYard soon enough. Programming note: next Wednesday, we have the CEO and co-founder of 7 Shifts, Jordan Bush, is going to be joining us. We're going to be talking about newsletters. So newsletters for business. 7 Shifts has an awesome newsletter called The Food Runner. We're going to talk to him about the Food Runner, but please join us, join the conversation. Philip, Mike is yours. Tip, takeaway, homework assignment. Thank you for being here. Thank you for dealing with us and our community, and hopefully you enjoyed it and you keep coming back.
Hey, so you guys are really good experts in this business, and I feel very comfortable. Well, I actually feel very uncomfortable that I don't have enough to contribute. But I will say this is that I do want to embrace the technology, and I'm glad I'm in this platform because all of you have so much to share. At the end of the day, the tip though is I think it's all a relationship business, right? You got to have that relationship, and kind of what Mike was talking about. You have to have that relationship to know that something's going to work for somebody. Yes, you run it through the data, you know, um, metrics and all that stuff. At the end of the day, to that gut feeling, Sean, it's also that relationship. Are you doing the best you possibly can for that customer, for that patron, for that operator and stuff? And at least that's the direction I go, and I've relied on that. So thanks again for having me, you guys. I look forward to next week and working on this a little bit more.
Awesome. Well, we
All right,
appreciate it.
thanks.
Shout out to thank you, Philip, for joining us, and anybody that's listening. If you want to listen back, you can go to the Digital Hospitality Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can hear any of the past episodes. Thank you all for being guests. Stover and Biseglia, thank you for producing the show, and the entire Cali Barbecue Media team. Elizabeth, Naki, Ward, Dean LeBay, Philip, Michael, and Adam. Thank you, Adam, for your persistence. We appreciate you guys. Have an awesome Friday and a great weekend. Please check out our Restaurant Technology Substack. We have a new episode dropping. So go to Substack, check for Restaurant Technology. Thank you all. Have an awesome Friday. Bye.
Bye, guys.